Welcome into In the Trenches with myself, Tanner Kern, joined alongside former CFL defensive lineman Max Forde. Max, it's week 18. Hard to believe the season has gone by this quick. Can you believe it?
Man, I can't. It feels like we just started doing the show again yesterday, and we're here at the end of the season, so playoff time is here.
Yeah, it goes quick. Like every year, it goes quick. Now it's the best time of the year, though. We get the playoffs, we got the college football playoff. Yeah. Like everything's coming down the wire. Championships are getting decided, and we got some big games in week 18 to discuss. We also have some games where backups are going to be playing, and we're going to tell you how to break those down as well. But we'll start with the biggest mismatch of the week. Max, you have the Atlanta defense going against the Carolina Panthers offense. Look at Carolina. They've gotten better on offense, even against the Buccaneers. Didn't put up much of a fight, but Bryce Young has looked a lot better. So if you're the Falcons defense coming into this game, knowing that you've been susceptible to the pass in the secondary, what's the key for this defensive front to get after Carolina and Bryce Young?
I think it's just what they've been doing the last few weeks. They've been getting the quarterback a lot better these last handful of weeks. Even with that game they had last week against Washington, where they got sliced and diced a little bit by a very good player, Jaden Daniels, who's proven not looking like a rookie at all. They've been getting the quarterback. They've been getting him on the ground and getting pressure. And I think if they can get to Bryce and get that kind of pressure that they've been seeing the last few weeks here, it'll help them out a lot. They've got a lot to play for, obviously, trying to play for the playoffs here. Carolina has been playing with pride, like you said. They've been playing a lot better on offense as well recently, but I think just the motivation, that little extra motivation is there. This is week 18, one game. You got to win it to give yourself a chance to get into the dance. And with a team that's been kind of thriving a little bit with the pass rush here over the last month, I think they have what it takes to maybe make Bryce make some bad decisions, get some of those turnovers, which obviously points for your defense there, and also the sacks are points for your defense. So they've been generating a lot of those the last handful of weeks.
Now, if you were playing the Atlanta Falcons defense this week in fantasy, and you're looking at the situation with them and the Buccaneers, Tampa Bay's playing the Saints, I imagine the Buccaneers get up early on the Saints and win that game pretty easily. If you're the Falcons, as they're piping in the score to the stadium and you're seeing Bucks up 14-0, Bucks up 17-0, from the player mentality, how much does that impact your performance, knowing that game might get out of reach quick and your playoff chances might be done before halftime of your game?
You try to block it out. You don't want to know the score of that game, to be honest, if you're playing, because there's nothing good that can come from it. If Tampa Bay is winning and you're out of it, it kind of deflates you a little bit. If Tampa Bay's behind and they're you got a little bit of better chance. It doesn't give you anything extra that you shouldn't have had coming into the game. So probably try to ask the scoreboard operator to keep that off the on the scoreboard there if you can, and if not, then just try to ignore it, because you just treat it like you win and you're in. I know that's not the case, but if you just kind of think of it that way, I think you get your best performance, which is what you're going to need anyway to give yourself a shot.
Definitely. So you got a couple other games here to talk about before we get into the budget plays. Denver defense going against the Chiefs offense. The Broncos need a win to make the playoffs. If they don't, they potentially open up the door for the Bengals or the Dolphins there. And then when you look at Baltimore, they need a win to secure the AFC North. They're going against Cleveland, who's starting Bailey Zappi at quarterback. So obviously, when you're starting Bailey Zappi, Baltimore is a huge mismatch. Same with Denver going against Kansas City's backups here. So, would these be lineups that would these be potential defenses you're looking to mix into DFS lineups for a little higher price?
I think that we can play both of those. Especially, so we talked about Kansas City playing backups as well. There's talk I've seen about maybe even Carson Wentz only playing a half. I'm not sure if that's going to come to pass or not, but if that doesn't go down to the third string quarterback against a very Denver defense, that could be a good match for them. They've been a team that you can pick against some of the better offenses as well. And when you get Kansas City's third string, you might as well take that one. And then Baltimore also going against Zappi, who's the fourth quarterback that's played in Cleveland this year. So I think both of these, you got a quarterback that probably hasn't played most of the year. A little bit rusty. In Zappy's case, a little bit younger guys. I know it's like his third or fourth year in the league, but still hasn't had a lot of NFL experience. And you have defenses that are playing for something, so you want to heat them up. And like we just talked about with that other matchup, just try to heat up the quarterback. That leads to turnovers a lot of times. It's a strip sack, or he's pressured into throwing a bad throw, or get him on the ground, get those sacks. But I think, both of those are worth kind of dabbling in there for a little bit higher price, given the talent discrepancy and the motivation discrepancy there.
Yeah, I mean, I really like Denver looking at just the Chiefs' game plan here, because if the Chiefs were to win this game, their reward would be probably, pending Aaron Rodgers can take down the Miami Dolphins, like a Joe Burrow coming into the playoffs if the Bengals can win a game today. I think you might see a little more aggressive game plan from the Chiefs if the Bengals were to lose to the Steelers today. But if the Bengals win, the Chiefs don't want to see them in the postseason. I think that's the one team that's proven they can stand up to the Chiefs at Arrowhead Stadium. So I imagine we're going to get a very vanilla game plan there. From the Chiefs offense. They might be running the ball on 3rd and 15, 3rd and 10 consistently throughout that game. So it's probably a good spot for a DFS play.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So budget plays under $3,000 for the DFS defenses here. LA Rams defense going against the Seattle Seahawks offense here. Geno Smith came out last time against the Rams, lit them up. Defensively, they did not get a lot of pressure on him. He's got an incentive this week too, Max, 185 passing yards. I think he takes home $2 million if he hits that mark. Should hit that mark no matter, no matter what in this game. And his total is much higher here. But why are you feeling the Rams against Geno and the Seahawks offense that was able to score last time against them?
Yeah, I think you do have Seattle coming off a really down week against Chicago, game that no touchdowns were scored in. Obviously, we talk about good offenses. You like to see bounce back from performances like that. But Seattle, I wouldn't put in that category as necessarily an elite offense. I'd say they're solid. But I do think that Los Angeles is playing for something here with playoff positioning. You don't want to go on the road to Philadelphia here I got that wrong. Sorry. The playoff positioning. They got the division locked up. You don't want to host the loser of the NFC North game. Sorry. It's because both of those teams, whoever your host is, a 14-3 ball club.
Tampa moves up to 3, and they're going to get what you want to play Washington over Minnesota or Detroit.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want to. Yeah, both those teams right now are on fire, which is going to be a fun Sunday night game. You want to avoid them if you can, if you're LA. So I think there is motivation there. Their defensive line, we've talked about them a few times throughout the year. They've got a young group that's coming together really well, started to gel. Jared Verse, I know, is one of the front runners for Defensive Rookie of the Year. Fisk has been doing really well as well. It's cool seeing those two come from college teammates to pro teammates and have the success they've had. Obviously, you have Kobe Turner, who last year was one of the finalists for Defensive Rookie of the Year as well. So you've got a really young, talented front, and they've started to gel and make some plays up there. And so I think putting them in against the Seahawks team that it's a little bit deflating what happened last week with they won. They had a chance to get in. Depending on if the Rams won or lost. And then the Rams won, but they still had a chance to get in. They needed all these different tiebreaker scenarios to kind of come together, and it didn't happen for them. So it's tough when you're kind of coming down to the wire in a season. And at the very end, you lose that chance to go in. And for a team that has the record that they do, I believe they got right now, 9 or 10 wins, it's tough to not even have a chance going into the last week of the season. With that kind of record, because normally that kind of record gets you in. So I think there's probably a little bit of a disappointment level, I think, going on in Seattle as well.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Rams are in no matter what, but seeding plays a huge role here. And I think we're just going to see a sloppy game from Seattle overall. Geno Smith had 3 interceptions last time out. Wouldn't surprise me if he has another huge passing game, but the interceptions are still there, and they do get a little more pressure on him in this one. Bears defense, Max, going against the Packers offense. We talk about the Bears defense every single week. Sometimes they deliver, sometimes they let us down here. Green Bay is in, so are they resting people this week or no?
I don't know if I've seen that on the wire. I wouldn't be surprised to see it though, because they're not playing for the same seeding that LA and Tampa and or Atlanta are. So
Green Bay,
so
looking at the playoff picture right now, Green Bay is going to be the 7 seed at 11-5. Yep. So Green Bay could move up to the 6th seed with a Commanders loss and a Green Bay win. So they are playing for seeding a little bit too. If I'm them, I probably want to. I mean, because they're gonna have to play. They're gonna play the 2 seeds. So they'd have to play the Eagles to start. So it benefits them to try to move up this week. Go against Bears defense, which the ceiling is there. We just don't see it a lot. Why you trust in them here? It is a great price point for $2,300.
Yeah. It is time for the second lowest price on the slate, which is a big motivation in this play. And like we said, we have seen the ceiling for Chicago. And I am a little bit, motivated, I guess, by what they did last week as well. They, like we just talked about, that Seahawks-Chicago game where there were no touchdowns scored, and it forced Gino to turn the ball over a few times there. So they're still playing hard football, which, I mean, in the middle of a 10-game losing streak, where your offense is, to put it mildly, has been a little bit inconsistent. It's tough to continue to stay motivated on defense when you just see the offense continue to go and put up dud after dud. But they're still putting it out there. Like you just saw a game, like I said, they only allowed 6 points, which fortunately was 3 too many for that game. But you're still seeing them put out performances there. They've got the players to do it. We've seen it, like you said, not consistently, but throughout the year we've seen them make the plays that they've needed to make at times. And $2,300 price point against a Green Bay offense that, even though they did put some points on the board last week against Minnesota, a lot of it came late. They were still in the game. It's garbage time, but still in the game. And I do feel like Green Bay kind of looked a little bit out of sorts, even though the scoreboard doesn't necessarily say that. The passing game was kind of off. I know they played Minnesota's defense, which is another defense we talk about on here a lot because of their high-end ability. Sorry if you can hear my dog. The Chicago defense, I think, is a here going against a Packers team that maybe needs to get back.
Yeah, I think when you're looking at this game, you got a physical running back in Josh Jacobs. Like in your experience playing the defensive line, knowing you're going against like a bruising running back with a really good offensive line, what was that strategy and approach?
You just want to create the knockback. I feel like every line coach, offensive or defensive, is always going to talk about establishing the line of scrimmage. And so that's something that you've got to do early and often. You've got to start out by just reestablishing that line of scrimmage, maybe a yard on the other side of the ball. And I think every time you can get a good get off, just hands into the chest, into that breastplate, and knock them back, you're in a good spot. And if you can do that, I always like using the first play of the game, honestly, to kind of feel like what the other guy across me felt like. So even if it's a pass rush, I was probably going to bull rush the first one, to be honest. And then kind of just feel like what he's got, like what kind of anchor he's got there. So when you're going against a good running game with a good running offensive line, you just want to try to feel what he's got and make sure you come up with enough leverage, enough force to knock him back there.
Yeah, definitely. Final game here, New England defense versus the Buffalo Bills offense. Josh Allen's probably going to play a series in this game to keep a starting streak alive. We shouldn't see him much more than hand the ball off, maybe throw a screen pass and get out of there healthy. But $2,600 here for the New England Patriots defense going against the Bills backups. Patriots. This is a situation for me that it's somewhat concerning. I never think teams go out and try to lose football games. But right now, the Patriots do have the number 1 pick. So how do you think they're going to handle that with their play calling and their approach in this one going against the Bills backups?
Yeah, so I agree with you there. The players, I never think go out and try to lose a game. They're always going to go out and try to win, but the play calling comes from the coaches. And if the coaches have assurances that they're going to be there next year, then there might be motivation for them to play a little bit more of a vanilla game and not maybe try so hard. And as if it comes down to the wire, to kind of let Buffalo win, for lack of a better term. But there is a little bit of that. But I also think there's something to be said for culture. I know some people don't feel the same, but you look at a team like Detroit. I think we talked about it a few weeks ago. Like even before they started winning, they had a culture where they went out and put it on the line. They left it all on the field every time they went out. And I think sometimes if you can build that culture, it pays dividends. Right now, we're not like the smoke coming out of New England doesn't seem like they have that necessarily. So there is some worries about it. But I do think the reason for this play is a couple of weeks ago they played Buffalo with Josh Allen playing the entire game, and they played him pretty well. But limited the points. I think turned them over once there, give or take. And so they played him well with Josh Allen. Seemed to be a little bit of a New England's always been a little bit of a tough matchup for him, even in years when he should be kind of running all over him. And so without him for the majority of this game, I think they can still perform well. I do think the play calls, like we talked about there, as far as getting the number one pick, I don't think that'll be as much of an impact unless New England starts to run away with the game. Then I think they might try to slow down, or if it's tied at the end, I think that's when you kind of see it come into play. I don't think that they're gonna try to like just lose whistle to whistle from first quarter to fourth quarter. I think it's like when it gets down to it, if they're starting to pull away a little bit too much, they'll kind of rein it in. Or if it's tight in the fourth quarter, I think that's when you'll maybe see it. So some business decisions getting made.
Especially Gerard Mayo coaching first. No, thank you. Especially Gerard Mayo, who's many people have already said, like, Vrabel's out there. Let's go get Vrabel. Let's bring him in. Yeah. So Gerard Mayo is coaching for his job here. You want a good showing at home to end the season strong. Ideally for the Patriots, probably it's a great showing and they lose the football game because they get the first round pick, but they play hard along the way. Going against backups here, do you still like the Patriots defense in this spot? I mean, they've been good at times this year, but they haven't necessarily been the most dominant defense that we've seen in years past for New England.
I do like them here. Just going against the backups of a team that they stuck with a little bit a couple weeks ago with the starters, and they haven't been the most consistent team on defense as you pointed out. They still got a lot of talent on that side of the ball. Enough talent to get by, not enough talent necessarily to be a top end defense right now, but I do think they've got some talent over there. We've seen it in some of the division games they played this year. So I do think they can get by. And if Gerard Mayo is indeed coaching for his job, then I think, you don't see the vanilla game plan. You see him go after it. And who knows, maybe it's like that Lovie Smith game a few years back where he won and got the Texans the second pick instead of the first pick, and kind of started that Carolina and Chicago trade there. So
it's tough.
We'll see.
If you're Gerard Mayo, you're kind of like damned if you do, damned if you don't. If you come out and win the game and play really well, people are going to be mad that you're not getting the number one pick now. If you lose the game and you don't play well, it's like, well, we got the number one pick. We got to get rid of him. He's not the guy. So it's just it's a really tough situation for a head coach coming into this. I mean, the head coach is going to coach to win the game, I think. But if you win the game, there's still going to be a bunch of people angry that you don't have the number one pick. Because Travis Hunter, if you did get a Travis Hunter, you were able to trade that pick to somebody who needs a quarterback and move back and potentially get another first round pick and Travis Hunter like that. Yeah. That's the guy that's going to make people excited to watch the Patriots next year. So it's interesting.
I think that,
No, what were you going to
say? I was just going to say, I think they do have their franchise quarterback in the building, and getting their first choice at whoever the guy is they want to come help that guy, I think is huge. And like I said, if they trade back, maybe get a couple guys that can come help him because he needs a little bit of help. But he looks so good. It's crazy to me because the environment there on offense is not ideal. But every week he does something that makes you just go, wow! Like it's just jaw dropping, and you hope that he gets the development he needs. And I think for that, they need to use some of those picks to help him out, whether on the offensive line or with the skill positions there.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so final question for you, Max. Usually we talk about what we're most excited about heading in the week, but I think we're both really excited about Sunday Night Football. So let's go for this game. Vikings versus Lions. Winner gets the 1 seed in the NFC. Loser has to play 3 road games in the playoffs. It's brutal a brutal road if you lose this game. So knowing the Lions are beaten up, I'm going to take the Vikings here. I don't like it. I don't feel good about it, but I think overall they're a slightly better team right now. How about you?
I think I'm going to pick on the other side. I think I got the Lions. It is tough. Last week playing their starters pretty much the entire game was a little bit of a surprise. But again, not because it's Dan Campbell. We talk about that culture that they've established. But they are. I still think the team to beat in the NFC. But it's tough that, like you said, one of them's going to have home field and a bye, and the other one's going on the road 3 times if they can make it that deep. So, it's going to be a fun game to watch. It's disappointing that this is the only one that is like a winner takes all. It's not a winner go home, but a winner takes all kind of a thing. And but it is going to be a really fun one. A 14-win team going into the wild card is kind of crazy, but it'll be fun.
This is the most critical playoff game you're going to get if you are the Lions or the Vikings, because this eliminates a game that you have to play and you get home field. So it's really cool that the NFC North and the 1 seed comes down to Sunday Night Football. So great scheduling by the NFL there. And my only thing is, like, the Vikings weren't even expected to be good. I don't know if they tried to necessarily be good this year. Signing Sam Darnold, like, it was like kind of a bridge year. He turned out to be really good, and the offense is great, defense is great. Like, the Lions have put everything into this season to be a 2-loss team right now. I feel like the Vikings messed around and became a 2-loss team.
Oh, yeah. And it'll be interesting this offseason to see what the Vikings do at the quarterback position because, Sam Darnold looks like he's a little bit more than a bridge. You obviously got a rookie that you paid for handsomely in draft capital. And so, it'll be interesting to see what they do. It's kind of hard to break up a 15-2 or 14-3 team. I know that's going to be discussion when season ends, so that'll be interesting.
Definitely. Well, Max, in the trenches for Week 18 is done. We'll be back next week at some point, breaking down the first round of the playoffs. So very excited about that, and maybe we'll even give a little college football pick in there because I think we'll be breaking that down before the game. So make sure you guys tune in next week for In the Trenches with myself, Tanner Kern, joined alongside Max Forde, and we'll talk to you soon. Talk a little more ball. Enjoy Week 18 and get ready for the playoffs.